Peace, peace, Queen Neferso here to align those chakras. And finally, we are going to talk about chakras. But I'm going to split them up into different videos just because I want to really focus on each chakra. But before we begin that, sorry I look a little tired, I just woke up, but as soon as I woke up, I'm like, I have to do this video. Like, as soon as I open my eyes, do the video. So I'm doing the video. But before we go there, I just want to say, guys, I hope you're hanging in with Mercury retrograde. I know it's been hella goddamn tough, but also keep in mind that Mercury retrograde cannot happen to you. It happens through you, as anything in life does. So don't blame Mercury retrograde if life is really falling apart or certain things are just very difficult for you right now. It's because Mercury retrograde, which is its purpose, is showing you that it's time to slow the fuck down. So, why we're gonna start with this Mercury retrograde with the root chakra. Now, Mercury retrograde, if you don't know, happens at least 2 to 3 times a year. The only time it happens twice a year is if the retrogrades are longer. So, they have a certain amount of days or time frames that it keeps going for. So based on the year or whatever positionings and stuff are going on, Mercury retrograde can either be shorter or longer. So I think it's better when we have shorter retrogrades separated into 3 different sectors of the year, just because it can be a little tough on people who don't know what's going on, and it could be a pain when it comes to communication and travel. We do not need a whole month worth of retrograde. No. I don't think everyone's in tuned enough to not blow up the world with such a long retrograde. Although it has happened, I think 2 years ago, where we only had 2 retrogrades because they were a lot longer. But anyway, please make sure you're hanging in, because the Mercury retrograde really is when the planet spins so fast that it looks like it's going backwards. Now, the illusion of this backwards is interpreted as being it's time to slow down, it's time to reflect, it's time to understand the things that you've been going through. This is really a time to reflect. So, if you're not reflecting, if you're not slowing down, if you're not moving according to what these energies are pushing you to do, that's when it starts becoming very difficult. It's actually very perfect and fine to break down during retrogrades. It's okay, because you're doing exactly what you're supposed to. You're analyzing, you're revising, and now you are releasing. So the more you release in a healthy way, the more you're utilizing the energies of retrograde right now. So now, let's move on to the root chakra. I am going to be looking back and forth between my notes a little bit, just because I don't want to miss anything for you guys, and because each chakra just has so much going on that I just want to make sure I can at least cover everything with you guys. So now, what is chakras? Chakras can be a hard thing to understand for certain people sometimes, because it requires a higher knowledge. It requires an open mind. It requires someone who's willing to try something new and to understand something that isn't taught to us on a regular basis, that isn't taught to us in school. Although it is in our cartoons, it's in movies, it's in so many things, so our schools are just not teaching it to us, but the media definitely, with movies, one of the biggest things that I'm pretty sure a lot of people watched was the Avatar, the Airbender. Aang goes through a part where he starts discussing the chakras and how one opens their chakras. But it's so basic too, because it's a child's cartoon, so he's actually giving you one of the simplest ways to do this. And it's something we oversee. People who watch Naruto, you may have seen the symbol on his head, but this is actually a Reiki symbol. This is a sacred geometric shape. So it's everywhere. it's in our face, it's in our subconscious because they're putting it out there. We're utilizing it, we're seeing it. We just don't learn about it. So there's a lot of things that we don't quite understand yet, or some people may not get. But I'm going to try my best to simplify all of this knowledge just so that you can start utilizing it. It's okay if you agree to disagree, or we're open. So chakras are the different energetic points located on your physical body, on your soul, and outside of your body. Now, what I mean by energy points, they line up in the middle of your body, starting from your feet all the way up. Now, we have plenty of chakras throughout our body, but all these other ones are not as powerful because they're a lot smaller. So we don't classify them to be like the major chakras. But if you really looked at it, we have like over 100 of different chakras just all throughout our bodies. So where this will come into play is when you get massages, when you do I forgot what you call it, when you stick the needles in certain parts of your body. Like, there's so many different things that we utilize that actually helps with that. Because they're chakra based. When you do the mudras with your fingers, like this is one that's really common for the third eye, which is the Om. The reason why this is so powerful is because your fingers and your hands also have chakras. So by connecting these two chakras, you create a Om effect, or a connection to the third eye, because that's the chakras that's being worked on with this. So, there's so much meaning behind so much simple things that you wouldn't even think that there was a significant meaning for. So now, basically, each chakra has its own personality. It comes with its own type of energy, but it also comes with memory. Now, this is why I say it's kind of hard for some people to interpret the concept of chakras, because you would have to believe in reincarnation, and you would have to believe that we are not here just living one life, that we are multidimensional beings that live multiple lives at multiple times throughout multiple decades and centuries of years. So it requires an open mind. Now, when I say it holds memory, the root chakra is actually one of the perfect examples, but I'll get into that a little later. Now, when it comes to the root chakra, a lot of people go straight to the third eye because they want to see visions, they want to see things, they want to have these trips, they want to astral project, they want to really lucid dream, and yeah, you can do all of that, you can play around, you can have fun, but on a serious note, just like any foundation or any building structure, anything that's being built, you need to make sure you have a solid foundation first. So yeah, you can look into all these other chakras, but what's most important is that you focus on the root chakra first, meaning giving all of your attention and work towards. Obviously, you're going to have different experiences throughout your life that's going to allow you to work on different chakras through this process, but it is very, 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 very important that you start really functioning and working with the root chakra, because you can have your third eye open, but it's not going to be accurate because the rest of your chakras are still processing, still blocked, still needing to purge, still needing to release energy and frequency, and have more understanding. It needs more care, it needs more attention. So this is where you'll get false truths, because you're gonna be like on the tip of the truth, but because you haven't cleared everything else, the way you interpret it is going to be very selfish in a way, because it's going to be based on your own perspective of your life right now instead of what's actually being shown to you. So the root chakra is in two places, which a lot of people don't know. The zero, or the first root of the root chakra, is in your feet. Now the chakra is split in half, so half of the chakra is on one foot and the other half is on the other. Why, when you walk, it's kind of like automatic, the frequency of your feet, they work together. So once you move one, the other one's just gonna go. It works together, compensates together. Now, this chakra is very important because this is really what helps you ground and anchor yourself into the earth. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people skip the feet. But this is very important because your legs, your feet, play a huge role in your root chakra because this is where the energy is stored from your past life traumas. It's not only in the pelvis area, it's also very heavily in the legs. A lot of people tend to skip that or are a little misguided about that because a lot of people just start with the root chakra being at the pelvis. But no, it actually works with your legs as well. For example, I had some past life trauma that I had to release, and it was really affecting me. It was repeating in my life. It was trauma that was affecting me in my life. And when I psychically tuned in with a friend of mine, a lot of the energy was being stored on my left leg. And as she was working with me, as I was tuning in, the first vision that came to my mind was this war. And in this war, I just saw, I can tell it was very ancient based on their clothing. And I just saw fire arrows, I saw people on fire, I saw people fighting. I saw so much going on, and in a lot of my past lives, I was a male, and I think it's because I'm such a warrior. Why in this life I'm a Leo? Because I was always a protector. I'm always someone to help out in that way. I go for the wars. Don't ask me. I don't know. But yeah, so I remember hearing some names so I can verify what civilization it was. But basically, I died in that war and I held on to that trauma because a lot of us don't know that our spiritual, physical, and sexual bodies and our mental bodies are separate, but they are supposed to work together and operate as one. But a lot of us don't know when they're separated, and for most of us right now, it is going to be separated because we were not taught about this type of lifestyle. We weren't taught how to utilize our spirituality. We were taught just how to enclose it and how to focus on pretty much everything else. So a lot of the times, a lot of people just feel so down and so disconnected from Earth, and they feel so disconnected from people, and it becomes very depressing. But in reality, it's not that you're disconnected from anything outside of you, but you are disconnected from yourself. Yourself is disconnected from itself. Your bodies are not functioning together as one being. You're functioning as you're basically functioning as 4 different bodies. So this is when it's difficult to understand your life purpose, your life, what's going on. Your life's a mess, nothing makes sense. Everything's just up and down. There's no sense of security to your life. Everything's just all over the place. Mentally, it's really hard for you, and you probably go through a lot of struggle and stress for no reason. And a lot of the times it really is just because your 4 bodies are not connected and not functioning as one. Now, that's okay. Don't worry. It's fixable. You can work on it. It's just going to take a little time. It's just about reflecting, and again, Mercury retrograde right now is a perfect time to get those 4 bodies together and to learn how to do it on your own. You need to sit down and understand what is separating you. Now, the reason why I brought up the trauma is because a lot of the times, these things, these past lives, these traumas that we have carried down from life to life plays a huge part in why our 4 bodies keep disconnecting. And it's because our souls are aware before we are. Because another subject for another time, we sign soul contracts before we come to Earth. So our spirit is already aware of the events that we're supposed to go through, which is why you're always supposed to listen to your higher self for guidance, because your higher self is already aware of your path. It already knows the trials and tribulations you're supposed to go through at the moment. Your spirit is always aware first. So when your spirit knows something traumatic is about to happen, your spirit will flee your body because your spirit is so sensitive to frequency, to everything you are experiencing. So, a lot of us go through these traumas, whether it's a car crash, whether it is abuse, whatever it is, and our spirits will leave our bodies, and then we will spend the rest of our lives living with our spirit outside of our bodies. Now, again, that's when you know that your four bodies are not meshing together. You just don't feel connected to anything. And it's because you need to bring that spirit back down. And granted, even if you have a healer bring it back into your body for you, you can also have another trigger at some other point that it happens again. So this is where meditation is very important. And it's very important during this meditation that you talk to yourself and you tell yourself and you tell your spirit that you apologize for what you have experienced, that you promise to be more intuitive, to listen more, and to be more considerate about your experience so that your spirit doesn't feel neglected or feel like on a physical plane that you're just going to accept this trauma and not heal from it. You have to also show your spirit that you're healing from this trauma, that you're safe from this trauma. You need to repeat this to yourself. You need to repeat to your spirit that we are safe. Anything that has happened to us for a reason. We signed a contract for it, so we cannot get discouraged. So that's when you really need to ground yourself and make your spirit feel comfortable again about coming back into your body. So now that trauma, these traumas really affect our spiritual selves. So half of the time, all these disconnections, all these emotional cutoffs are just due to how we handle our trauma. We don't apologize to ourselves. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't heal ourselves. We don't remind ourselves that it's okay that things happen, but we can't get discouraged. We need to keep going. You need to talk to yourself in third person. You need to experience a very serious bond with yourself. Why meditation is so powerful, because prayer is you speaking to the universe, you speaking to your choice of God. Meditation is when you sit down and you listen. You have communication, you have conversations with yourself, with other beings, with other selves, and you sit down and you have a download of information and healing. Meditation, you allow your spirit guides to heal you, for ETs to heal you. So, back on the subject. So, the root chakra now is located at the base of your pelvis as well, not just the feet and the legs. And it does hold sexual energy, but it is not the main function of the root chakra. The root chakra is colored red. The other colors that can be also associated is dark colors, so brown, black, maybe even gray too, but mostly just brown and black, which makes sense in the terms of nature because brown is the color of dirt. Now the root chakra is the foundation, the base, the first chakra. And this is one of the most important chakras because this is where all your past life trauma is held, where your generational karma and DNA energies are passed down from families. It's very important too that we pay attention to what disconnections passed down in our generational of families, because this also plays a huge part in healing your root chakra. The root chakra is just all about security, stability, financial security. It's about, on an emotional scale, it's about anger, but obviously there's mature anger or reasonable anger where it's okay to get upset at certain things, but an imbalance in the in the root chakra would be aggressive anger or negative thoughts about life. It's going to be frustration, resentment, anxiety, depression. Anxiety also works with the third eye, but it's highly also affected by the root chakra, because this is where your stability comes from. And what is anxiety? Anxiety is when you are not present, when you assume how something is happening when it really isn't. So it's also something that comes from your stability. So the root chakra plays a huge part in your anxiety, but it is also very connected to the third eye, in which where it makes very much sense why it connects to the third eye as well. The root chakra is connected to sense of smell, which is actually affiliated with the third eye, the pineal gland, so it makes a lot of sense why anxiety functions in two separate parts, because this is where your intuition comes from. So if your stability function is really bad, your intuition and response, your reaction, is going to come from here, because now this is being compensated by the root chakra. It's all going to come through as trauma and in control and all this extra emotion that is so completely irrelevant at the moment. But it's okay. We got you. Anxiety is something that you can get through. Depression is something that you can get through. Everything is a choice. And I know how tough that's going to sound to someone who's depressed, someone who's going through trauma, and I'm one to speak of that. You know, I still go through my moments of depression, because as an indigo, as a light worker, we understand and we absorb and we feel so much on a scale of the globe and the universe that we can sometimes misinterpret certain things as depression because we're not open enough, or we're not concentrating enough on the lesson, that we get impacted negatively instead of it a positive reflection of what we need to heal. So some positive things about the root chakra also is about your health, your vitality, your energy. So the energy doesn't only come from the solar plexus, it also is a function that comes from the root chakra. So if you're also feeling low in energy, you can also use red. You utilize a lot of red in your life. This is also where the fight or flight comes from. So when people are able to lift up cars and save people, and this is, this is because the kundalini is stationed at the root chakra. That, again, is also another video. The kundalini is stationed here at that chakra, so the fight or flight comes out when the kundalini shoots up and helps your body gain an immense amount of energy to be able to do something that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to do. But on a spectrum of, if we were all functioning with all our chakras and intuition and psychic abilities, that would be a regular function that our genetics would be able to do on a regular. But, and when I mean on the regular, I mean because we would be able to channel the frequency better. A perfect example, quick sidebar, of the kundalini and how we use this fight or flight is the chi that, that people in Japanese and Chinese culture use. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, like, they would use these, I can't remember what you call it, the spears. And I saw a guy, he put the tip of the arrow of the spear right here. And as you know, this is one of the most sensitive parts of your neck. So he put the spear right here, and then he leans all his body weight forward onto that spear, and he focused his chi in the same spot. No lie, that spear did not penetrate his skin, not even a little speck. It was just a little red, but there was no sense of penetration. It was completely fine. So this is also where we get that immediate strength to just lift a car, that the chi has flown to that part of our body to be able to utilize that strength. Some other positives are clear thinking, concentration, just being able to be relaxed and still and grounded. So the root chakra is about also being very grounded. So that's why I wanted to talk about the feet chakras, because that plays a huge part in how grounded you are, because all your traumas are being stored there. So if you're not healing those feet and those legs, it's going to be a bit tough. It's time that we work on these past life traumas. But of course, it's a journey, and we all work on these different things at different points in time. A little bit more on the negatives again. Well, not negatives, I don't like to use the term negatives, but the challenges of the root chakra would be sluggishness, inflammation, cramps. Ladies, cramps are not normal. Cramps are not something that, as a female, is something that we're supposed to experience. Cramps is actually a notification that there are energetic blockages going on in the root chakra. There are some emotional traumas, some past life traumas that you have to deal with, and it is coming through as pain during your cycle. The root chakra is all about blood and blood circulation, organ health. So it needs some loving, ladies. That ovary, that uterus, it needs some loving, and you need to clear that frequency, you need to clear that energy. YTs can tend to help a lot during your cycle because it's relaxing the energy, it's relaxing the muscles. What else? We have irritation disorders, eating disorders, narrow thinking as well, and negative thinking about life. Disorganization. People that are messy. I don't know if you've ever heard the saying that your room is a big example of how you feel emotionally. The organizational structure, the upkeep of your bedroom, how messy things are, is a huge notification about where you stand with your root chakra. If your room's always messy, if you have no sort of organization to your room, or if you don't care too much to make sure you keep it clean, you're unstable in your frequency when it comes to the root chakra. And like I said, all of this is okay. We're learning, we're growing. So just as long as we start understanding the functions and start understanding that there's more to life than just finding for eggs. we learn so much about the physical world and the mental world that we don't learn enough about spirituality. And again, this plays a huge part in why your four bodies are so separate, because you may have learned more about physicality, and you may not know how to properly blend that with your spirituality. So some of us tend to force our spirituality based on what we do understand on a physical plane, but we need to learn about spiritual stuff too on another scale in order to completely understand how they're supposed to mesh together. Now, when it comes to the root chakra, this is all about survival mode. So I want to say that the earth has probably been functioning in the red and in the root chakra for a very long time, because this is where the root chakra is high on masculine energy and on dynamic and dominancy. So a lot of politicians operate out of the root chakra, and this is why watching the news, watching politics, and all of this type of stuff can really, really put a toll on that survival mode and on your root chakra, because they're sending information there. And the fact that it's always negativity and lies, by being so invested into politics, being so invested into the news, you are downloading a lot of imbalances into your root chakra. Please stop watching the news. Please